Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Horning Foot Ferry channel. And in this episode, I've been waiting to do this for some time, so we'll do it now. Give you a helming lesson and just show you a little bit of what it's like helming the Stanley Arthur. I was going to start off first of all talking a bit about the service and what we do. For many years, in fact well over 1,000 years, the foot ferry has run just between the Ferry Inn and with Bastwick Staith, so it's just crossed just straight over the river, and that's how things have been going. And when I took the ferry on back 4 years ago, which was around about 2017, that's still how things were, and that's how they've been going for many years. But it seemed that for quite some time we'd been governed by what they call the 200 metre rule, which means that the amount of toll that we paid meant we were only allowed to run 200 metres from our main point, which was the Ferry Inn, which meant that we really couldn't do much else other than go across the river. So we looked into it and decided to upgrade to water taxi. It cost us a huge amount more, but it actually meant we could go much further and do all sorts of stuff, which is how we are today. So apart from just crossing the river, we can go up the river and down, which means that we can easily carry people up to the village and back. We can take them beyond, so going further upriver we can go up to Salhouse Broad, Wroxham Broad. If we really wanted, we could go to Wroxham, but the problem is it's been too far away time wise from our base at the Ferry Inn. So if you've got cyclists waiting to come over, they're not really going to be waiting for an hour and a half for you. So we kind of put a limit as to how far we can go and try and do those longer journeys at a quieter time of the day. Now down the river we can serve Ranworth. Also before that we can do Cockshoot Dyke as well, so if boats are moored down there, it means that we can bring them round to the pub and what have you. We can also do Ludham Bridge at push, and I've done St Benet's Abbey and Acorn. So it means that we can go so much further. We're also now beginning to make connections with other groups in the area. So Natural England asked us to ferry out some people from Salhouse Broad way back in September to go on a backwalk at Great Overton Broad. So we're able to make things like that happen, and that's another thing that we're probably going to aim to start building on in the future. The boat can be used for all different sorts of purposes, and we're just waiting for people to come up with ideas. And it's possible, like we did a few years ago, that we may be asked, hopefully, to get involved with the Horning Boat Show, which should be in 2022, which would be fantastic because we had a brilliant time before, and we're just given the chance to get people on the water that wouldn't normally get on there, so we can do all sorts of little boat trips. But that's in the future, so there we are. So now let's move on. Let's just see what it's like helming the Horning Ferry. Okay, it's later in the afternoon, things have quietened down a little bit now. Been a bit mad today. So let's have a little bit of a boating lesson and just see how this ferry boat, the Stanley Arthur, actually performs, and I can now explain one or two of the problems that we get. Now you imagine that you've just done your Powerboat 2, the Royal Yachting Association Powerboat 2 exam, so you know, because you've normally probably maybe have done it on a boat with an outboard, so you know that pushing the tiller, now I'm going to talk left and right rather than port and starboard, just so people don't get confused. So you've pushed the tiller to the left, so if you're going forwards, normally that means that you're going to turn to the right. And then of course if you've got it like that in reverse, then the back of the boat, as you know, is going to go kind of, if you're looking backwards, going to go to your left. It's going to follow what way the outboard is pointing, and vice versa. So that's fair enough. So if you assume then that this ferry boat, you're going to do the same thing and it'll all work, then, oh shut up, then you're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. Now the problem is this. Right, let me just turn the camera around. So looking back on the boat, two things. We've got two sharp ends, yeah. Now that's all rather jolly, and the sharp ends are fine, but they cause one problem. And if you can look down into the water, you might, let me just see if I can get you closer. 1 second. Right, look down there, you might just see that the propeller has to come out on one side of the boat, and on this boat it's coming out on this right hand side. So looking back from the engine to where the propeller is, the whole prop shaft is angled slightly. So if you can imagine, that's like you've kind of turned your outboard slightly so the propeller's on the right of the boat, which means you're going to always have that kind of tendency to kind of go to the right. All right. Now, if it's on a lifeboat off a big ship, that's probably not too much of a problem, because really you just want to be going in a straight line. Really, once you've left the ship, all you want to be doing is aiming for land, because we have to do a lot more than that with ferrying stuff around. We have to be all over the place. This boat has to be very agile, really, considering the traffic that we get round here. So that's going to cause one or two little issues. So now what's going to happen, I'm going to show you how that's going to work. We'll start the boat up, and I'm going to put it in reverse, and we're going to reverse out of the dock, and let's see what happens when we assume what will happen, if you see what I mean. Right, so we're now going to put this in action. Now, as you can see, if I push the tiller to the left, the rudder goes to the right, and if you're going forwards, the boat will go to the right. By rights, if we go backwards with the tiller like this, then the boat should bend round to our left downstream, just like reversing the car out of the drive, and then we can drive all the way up towards the village or motor. Now let's see what happens. Okay, notice the small continuity error. It's now the next day and I'm in a red shirt. Right, so just going back. So if we put the tiller to the left, we should be turning out downstream to our left, and then we can go upstream towards the village. So let's see what happens. Creeping out as we have to first. Is there any traffic coming down towards us? And you notice that rather than going the way we want it to go, it's not, it's going in a straight line. That's the problem. It's actually, in fact, slowly, bit by bit by bit by bit, it's coming round. But if I had a full load of people on the front of the boat, and we then turn around to the left, it won't happen. It'll still go in a straight line. Eventually, when we're on the wrong side of the river, now we've got aiming in the right direction. So what we'll do now is let's go back into the mooring and we'll try it again. Now we'll try turning the tiller over the other way, so we will be going now aiming down, well, we're going to aim upstream. Okay, so let's see what happens this time. Also, another situation is that when you've got a full load, the boat is always going to be tending to go down towards the left. So we're always going to aim towards that key heading on that side. So it's constantly needing pushing off. Whatever you do with the tiller won't make a drop of difference at all. Right, here we go. This time, not a problem. It's come right round, dead easy. So as long as I don't hit John's boat, drop it out first, I'll go the other way, hit it forward, and now we can spin all the way round in the river. Back on the right side of the river. From the moorings on the other side off to our left to try and turn around in a U-turn. If you've got a crowd on, it's not going to happen. The only real way of doing it is by pushing the tiller to the right, that's right, yeah, and then going off backwards. Then you can get round in a big U-turn and actually make the turn. But we're going to just go and do that now. Okay, so we're at the moorings on the other side, and we can see we've got fishermen there right in front of us. That could be a boat or a couple of boats moored in front, so there's no way we can go forward. Well, we could try it, and especially if we've got a load on, it's not going to go to the left, it's not going to go out of the river, it's going to go in a straight line. So basically what we have to do is we're going to go backwards. So we put the tiller hard over to the right, so as if we're going to turn left, and then shove it in reverse, and we can do quite a tasty U-turn. Drop it down and tick over. And then put it in neutral and just spin around itself. You can see how the boat is turning around itself. Wonderfully. And then straight ahead. I'll tell you what we're doing. We're going to let this one go loose behind us. And then I can set myself up to get back into the dike again. I'll just put it in neutral and just coast down, maybe even through. One of the main things on the Broads is communication. If boats are not sure what you're going to do, then they'll possibly end up making the wrong decision. But if you wait them through or just give them commands, then it's so much safer and easier. It is. Drop down under John's tree that he's promised he's going to get sorted out. Now that was funny. This is a guy next door that's got the Ferryman's cottage. That's his boat. His boat's called No Idea. Now a few weeks ago he had a little problem. They were out on a trip and it conked out, and he had to phone the boat yard to see if they can come and sort him out. And they said, yeah, that's fine. What's the name of your boat? So he said, no idea. So I said, well, can you go outside and have a look and then tell us? No, that's the name. Well, that's it for another episode. Can you believe it? We're now into the last week in October, and the last week of service for this year, unless anything exciting happens. Take care, and if you're on the water, stay safe. See you soon.